cold. It was really cold. The rain became heavier that afternoon, accompanied by rolling thunder every now and then. The skies turned dark, though I couldn't see any of it under my black umbrella. Not that I was looking up. In fact, looking up was the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. I stared at the grass beneath my feet, unable to look at the people weeping around me. All I could see was the damp grass underneath my feet. Only the monotone eulogies that floated through my ears reminded me that I was at a funeral. It was only then, when the speeches ended, that I finally was able to raise my head. A small gathering of people, mostly made of relatives that I didn't even know were related to me, were huddled around a simple small grave. For a while, all I heard was the sound of raindrops on my umbrella. If it weren't raining, everything would probably be heavy silence. I looked beside me, where my father was standing and holding a large black umbrella for our small family of 3. His face was emotionless, a strange sight next to my weeping mother. I wonder what was going through his mind. After all, sketched into the smooth gray tombstone before us was his father's name. My grandfather, the one who raised me like his own daughter, had passed away that day. The ceremony was small, only close family were allowed to come. Slowly, though, people began to leave, leaving my father, mother, and me behind at the gravestone. A man dressed in a clean black suit, under the uniform black umbrella of the funeral attendants, walked towards us, introducing himself as grandfather's lawyer. He pulled out a few documents from his suitcase and began to read aloud its contents. "And now, I shall read Harold Anderson's last will and testament." Only my parents and I were allowed to be present at my grandfather's will. It was under a strict request of his lawyer, and there was a reason why. "And my dearest granddaughter, I give my estate. All the furniture and the decor that resides within the house shall be given to my granddaughter." What? I couldn't believe my ears. I had earned the family's estate at 18? That was impossible. And yet it was written by my own grandfather's hand. "He passed the estate to her? Well, I'm not surprised." Dear. Well, did he say anything about what will become of the CEO and chairman position of Anderson Toy Company? "No, I presume the vice chairman will succeed in his position. Even to the bitter end he wouldn't give in. What a stubborn old man." Shaking his head, my father turned to face my mother with a serious expression on his face. "What about the estate? Should we send her there to get used to the building? It'll be a good place for her to live after high school." "Are you sure we should?" "Well, why not? This is a good experience for her." Well, honey, what do you think? I really wasn't sure what to say. Why did my grandfather think that I was the appropriate heir to the mansion? Was I even ready to live on my own? "Well, that seems to be it. We'll take our leave now. I'm sure little heiress needs some time to adjust." "You sound kind of bitter, Dad." "David!" Even though she raised her voice at my dad wordlessly began to walk back to the car, disinterested. "Don't mind him, honey. I think your grandfather's passing really did affect him. Why don't you come back home for now?" "You can go ahead to the car, Mom. I think I need some time alone with Grandpa." "Oh, of course. Take all the time you need." She gave me a quick hug and hurried after my dad. I looked around the funeral grounds, which was completely empty, save for the sullen-looking grave that was laid right in front of me. I'm sure that if Grandpa were in charge of arranging this, it would have been much different. It was blatantly obvious that my dad was in charge of the whole event. Who else would bury their own family the same day they passed away? Everyone knew my grandfather's love for toys, and yet his grave was a mere slab of stone on the ground, void of any children's toys. My dad didn't even bother putting flowers. His disdain for my grandfather was almost pitiful. "I'm so sorry, Grandpa." I tried to force out some words, but the only thing that came out was choked sobbing. "You told me to stay strong, but right now I'm the furthest thing from it. Like that one time, a long time ago." "Oh, are we a kid?"
Oh, Grandpa!
"Oh, it's good to see you again, sweetie." I was swept into a giant bear hug, and we both laughed, and he swung me around like an airplane. It was one of my most favorite things about seeing my grandfather. The way he greeted me. Unlike my father, my grandfather was loving and playful, and even as I grew older.
Sorry that Daddy couldn't be here today. He said that he wasn't feeling well.
It had always been like that. Dad missed every visit to Grandpa's house, citing that he was too busy with work or wasn't feeling well. "Oh, is that right? Well, it's okay. Daddy can come next time. You're here, right?"
So what are we gonna do today, Grandpa? Mommy says that there's a new dessert cafe open in town. Let's go.
"Oh, I would love to do that, but I've been busy with my company these days. We're actually going to be working on a little something. Would you like to see?"
Yes. Is it a toy?
"Well, it is. I was designing a new line of them, but I feel like something's missing. You don't think you could help me out, could you?"
Well, of course.
He placed a toy in my hand with a simple smile. I inspected it carefully. It was beautifully crafted, and it obviously had a lot of work put into it. There was one thing, though. "Well, so what do you think?"
Well, I think the heart on its chest should light up when you hug it. It'll be like it's alive. And it can be a little nightlight before you go to sleep.
He stroked his chin, considering my input while he nodded his head. After a few moments of silent deliberation, he turned to me with a chuckle. "Oh no, that's a great idea. I'll get you changing it right away. You're always like my lucky charm, dear. You always know what to add just to make it perfect."
Well, I hope I can be like you one day, Grandpa.
"Oh, you want to make toys as well?"
Well, making people happy is the best feeling in the world. I don't know if I want to make toys when I grow up, though.
"Oh, well, don't worry about it. You have plenty of time to decide. You should do what makes you happy as well."
Well, that makes sense. Daddy doesn't seem to think that way, though.
"Your father, I'm sure, just wants the best for you."
I'm not so sure about that.
"Well, sweetie, look at me." He bent down to look at me eye level, and with a serious look on his face. "As much as your father may say something that doesn't make sense now, you should just remember that he's always thinking about you. He loves you. There's no doubt about that. And you need to love him just as equally."
Well, I don't hate Daddy. I really do love him. I don't know why he has to be like this, though.
Your father and I have had some difficulties with each other in the past, but it's nothing that you should be concerned about. I'd heard tidbits from my mother and various other people. The only people who stayed quiet were my father and my grandfather. Both of them refrained from saying a single word on the subject matter, but it was clear that whatever happened set up a wall between them.
Well, it's hard, though, trying to pretend as if nothing were wrong.
However, no matter what, you have to stay strong. You're a big girl already, and, well, the day will come when it seems like the world's against you. But always remember that your family and friends will be here with you. Daddy, Mommy, your friends at school, me, will stand together through it.
Well, how can you be so sure of that?
Because we'll be right here and here. He pointed his finger to my head first, and then pointed to my chest. So, stay strong, promise. For a moment he looked almost sad, pleading, but as quickly as it had come, the expression disappeared from his face. It was all smiles once again.
Well, I promise.
Upon hearing that, Grandpa let out a great burst of laughter and stood up. Oh, all right then. Enough of that. Now I can whip up some of my special homemade dessert. I know I can't accompany you to some new cafe, but we can talk and eat while we cook and look at some paperwork.
Little homemade dessert, I'll race you to the kitchen.
Hey, slow down there. I'm not used to all that.
Grandpa seems like a really good guy.
You willed me the very home I love to see you in. Why? Why would you think I would be ready to take it, especially after this? A surge of anger bubbled within me, but I quickly swallowed it. There was no use in getting mad, especially when the person in question was no longer there. I'm sorry. It's hard to stay calm when you've left me with so many questions. Especially about what happened between you and Dad. And what am I doing? I'm talking to a grave. My vision blurred and I suddenly realized I was crying. My face heated up as tears rolled down my cheeks. Bring me some flowers later. I miss you, Grandpa. I'll try my best to fulfill my promise I gave you, even if the world may be against me. I left the grave, wiping my tears hastily so my parents wouldn't see. Well, it's time to head back home. I'll cook you up your favorite lasagna when we get home, okay? Thanks, Mom. However, my dad didn't speak the entire drive home. I wanted to talk to him, but after his moment at the funeral, I wasn't sure it was a good idea. It's about time we took off those black dreary clothes. Gathering my courage, I decided it was time to talk. Dad, could I ask you something? No, go ahead. Why do you want me to move to the estate so soon? Do you guys hear that? Is the voice acting in English? Hold on. I figured the voice acting would be Japanese, because it always is.
I thought I made that rather clear. The college near your grandfather's house is well known for its business program. You are planning to major in business, yes?
Why the heck have I been reading? We're doing this. I don't have to do my stupid voices to make you guys suffer. I guess I'll just do Butts voices. That's all I have to do.
Right after you graduate from high school, you'll just live there and can easily commute to and from school. It's a perfect fit for you.
You're a jerk, Dad. But it's so sudden. You just decided so quickly right after the funeral.
Don't be so sensitive. If you're like that in the real world, you'll be crushed.
I'm just saying, maybe we could talk a bit more about my future. In reply, my father rubbed his temples and sighed quietly.
After you graduate from college, you'll work at Anderson Family Toys. I have connections since I am part of the board of directors, so you will be guaranteed a spot. That is what we talked about before, yes?
But what if...
Stop mumbling.
I really felt like I was getting scolded. But what if I don't want to work there?
Don't be silly. It's the family company. Our company. I'm not just going to hand it over to some incompetent vice chairman.
He is bitter. He came closer to me and his face softened.
Look, this is all for the best, okay? You may not know it right now, but you will appreciate it later.
For some reason, when I heard him say that, something snapped in me. I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but it made me feel really angry. You don't even care that Grandfather passed away.
Of course I do.
Well, everything seems fine and dandy to you. Things couldn't be better.
Excuse me? I don't like your tone, young lady.
I'm sorry, but with the other voice acting, it's actually pretty funny because I feel like I'm in trouble. It's it's like nothing ever even happened at all. Like you're just ignoring the fact that he's no longer here.
Do not raise your voice at me.
Sorry, Dad. God. Whoever this voice actor was, A plus, man. I feel like you are Dad. Perfecto. What did he ever do to deserve this? My father, his face hardened, crossed his arms, and erupted in angry laughter.
Ha! You sure place him upon a pedestal. Like he's some kind of venerated god or something. It makes me sick.
She just misses her grandfather. Is that it? Are you happy seeing grandfather dead? While everyone was grieving? While you were holding yourself back from laughing in everyone's face? Did did you feel just a bit happier seeing him lie there in a graveyard? Oh! Snap! A flash of rage crossed his face, and he whipped the back of his hand across my cheek. Oh, did he do it again, or?
You
Oh,
don't
no,
know anything! Running your mouth like somehow you know everything that went on, when you're just a little girl that doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut! You did not know my father! You did not know what he was capable of!
Is everything all right? What happened?
Nothing. I'm not hungry. I'll just go upstairs.
Honey, wait!
I quickly turned and ran upstairs to my room, slamming the door behind me. My breath came in short pants, and for a while I just leaned against the door to my bedroom, eventually sliding down against it. How did things become like this? My cheek still throbbed, and I tentatively stood up and looked in the mirror to see how bad it looked. Hopefully it doesn't bruise. What am I saying? Tears formed in the corner of my eyes, but I blinked them back rapidly. I couldn't cry for a second time today. I had to be stronger than that.
Are you all right? Your father told me nothing happened, but you know your father.
And did you not hear that wicked slap? I'm fine. I just lost my appetite.
The lasagna's done, though. And I don't want you skipping any meals. Are you sure?
Yeah, don't worry about me, Mom. I'll come downstairs later to eat.
You're not telling me the whole story.
I just don't want to eat right now.
Please, dear. Tell me what's going on. I wish you would tell me why you're being like this.
I wanted to tell her. Part of me was screaming to tell her what Dad had done. At the same time, I knew she couldn't fix anything. Besides, I was moving out regardless. I remained silent, letting the event remain in the past.
Well, I'll leave your food on the table if you want to eat it later.
Finally, my mom left me alone. It was strange to think that she was only a few inches from me, only separated by a single piece of wood. I remember, I really didn't know what to do. I needed to do something, anything, to get my mind off of what just happened. Anything would be better than thinking any more about the pain that still radiated from my cheek. I was going to move into my grandfather's house tomorrow. I should probably start packing my stuff so I should be prepared for tomorrow. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll start packing. I opened my closet and rummaged around, where I found 2 large bags, pulling them onto the floor into my room. I then began to empty my drawers and cabinets so that I could bring all my things with me. I didn't have much to bring, other than the clothes and some toiletries. Kind of bizarre that I didn't have many personal belongings. It wasn't like my luggage was completely devoid of them, but I certainly didn't have many things in my room that I would miss if I suddenly left the house. I shook my head and tried to rid myself of those thoughts. It was going to be my new home. It would have to feel like it. One way or another, I was going to make it home. We have a very interesting ringtone. Okay. Unexpected. Just as I was packing my things, my cell phone began ringing and vibrating in my pocket. I slid my phone out of my pocket and answered it, while slowly easing myself onto the bed. Who would possibly be calling?
Hey, Anderson, you there?
Wow, I gave you an awful voice. Yours is much better.
Is everything alright? We were worried about you, so we decided to call. Hello?
I'm really glad you guys called. Though it was only a whisper.
What happened? Are you okay?
Well, I slowly began to tell them about the funeral that afternoon. A small silence followed when I was done recounting what happened, and to my relief, Naomi finally spoke up.
I can't begin to imagine how you must be feeling right now. I'm so sorry. Do you want us to come over right now?
No, it's okay. My dad isn't in a good mood, so... Could we just keep talking on the phone like this?
Of course! We'd stay on the phone until the crack of dawn. Right, Suzu? Yeah. We're always here if you need us. After all, we wouldn't be the awesome triple threat trio without you, right?
Yeah.
Triple threat trio? That sounds like the name of a gang. Yeah, I mean, we're all taking on the world together. We've got to sound somewhat scary, or else no one's going to take us seriously. What's with you and naming things? You've got to step up your game, Naomi. Falling behind to the cool kids like Anderson and me. Hey! I'm a cool kid! If anything, I'd say you'd have to step up your game.
We chatted cheerfully about all sorts of things. Very soon I had forgotten about the events that day, and was soon engaged in the conversation about Naomi's favorite TV show, some program called Herlock. We all agreed that the actor playing the titular character had a very distinct look to him, with a very long overcoat and scarf wrapped around his neck. We had many disagreements about who we thought was the coolest character. Yeah, he really has high cheekbones, and his eyes are really pretty, though I do have to say I prefer Jatson, and as a bonus, his actor is so sassy. I looked over at the clock hanging on the wall and I realized how late it was. Whoa, it's already 1 a.m.? Sorry for keeping you up so late, guys. I think I'm gonna go hit the hay for tonight. I'll see you at school tomorrow. I should probably shower and go to bed. Can't believe I stayed up this late talking to my friends. But it was really nice. Well, I'll go to the bathroom. I took a relaxing shower. Nothing beat hot water and feeling of being clean. After drying myself, I promptly dressed myself in my pajamas and crawled into bed. A nice hot shower after a long day. I'm so glad to finally be in bed. It had really been a long day. I knew that I was wishing for something to change back in class, but I certainly wasn't expecting any of these things that happened today. And I have to go back to school tomorrow. Ugh. I curled up on my side and tightly wrapped the blankets around me. I really wasn't in the mood for returning to school, but my dad probably would make me go just for the sake of it. Now it's time to go to sleep. I reached over to my lamp on my nightstand and turned out the lights. However, my mind was so lost in the passing of my grandfather, and the thought of inheriting something so big haunted my mind for the entire night until the next morning.